Some 2,000 years ago, the Congo was open grassland, but today it's a rainforest inhabited not by forest animals, but by creatures of the grasslands who are only just beginning to get used to the long evolutionary process that their new environment demands. All this happened because the region was becoming warmer and wetter, and there was nothing man could do to influence it one way or the other. In the 1970s, we learned through satellites that there is a hole in the ozone layer. And so, global warming and depletion of the ozone layer have become immediate environmental concerns of our day. The interplay between man and his nature is what we call humaneness, and any upset creates a great disbalance.
Early evolution of mankind was in harmony with nature. He survived on tubers and small animals he hunted. He was not much different from his fellow beings, the animals. He never made any considerable impact on nature. The invention of fire and agriculture were milestones in the progress of human civilization. Agriculture was the first intervention of man in nature as an organized activity, with the slash and burn cultivation. Even now, the Aborigines preserve these traditions in their songs and dances. Nature was mother to our forefathers. They worshipped natural forces, reptiles and beasts. Trees and animals became their totem ancestors. They placed their deities in the holes of high trees in their sacred groves. Nature's basic colors brightened their folk arts, which were intended to initiate the deities. For the rural folk, nature was life-giving. It gives all and sometimes takes it all. Bon Bibi is the main deity of the people of the Sundarbans. Before embarking on a journey into the swarmy hinterlands in their canoes, they worship and make offerings to her. When out in the swamps and mangroves, where tigers and muggers are abundant, Bon Bibi protects them. They live abiding the laws of nature without greed. Same is the case with all the native dwellers in the world. Columbus reached America in 1492. It heralded the age of explorations, the history of conquering. With it started the decimation of native cultures all over the world. Tropical rainforests were mercilessly mowed down for cattle ranches. Hill ranges gave way to tea and rubber plantations. Monoculture tree plantations became the order of the day. During the Second World War, timber was in great demand. Extensive forest patches were cleared to quench the burgeoning logistical requirements of railway sleepers to feed the needs of the war. Plywood and fiber-based industries took a heavy toll on the forest cover of the earth. Native people, the hunters, became the hunted. Along with them, the flora and fauna of the world became threatened. The passenger pigeons which once filled the vast skies of America, eclipsing even the midday sun, was itself eclipsed by man. The dodo, a native of Mauritius. The elephant bird, the largest bird that ever lived on earth. The guadalupe, the talking bird of Amazon. The list is endless. The Pacific Railways of North America was built for the sheer pleasure of hunting bisons, sitting in a carriage. The result? Endemic species like the eastern bison became extinct. Farmers all over the world had their own methods of irrigation, land tilling and pest control. They were time tested and handed over from generation to generation. But the Green Revolution made all these methods redundant. Fertilizers and pesticides became integral parts of farming. Production shot up, so also pollution. But the use of these toxins came to stay, as they have become a big business by then. Rachel Carlson had warned the world about the ill effects of unbridled use of pesticides in her book, The Silent Spring. But all in vain. Even today, pesticides are used indiscriminately, killing fishes and birds. These poisons enter the agricultural products and finally find its way to our bodies. Ultimately, the toxins manifest in us, causing cancer, congenital defects, and neurological disorders. Thus, the vicious cycle of poison is completed. Urbanization is considered as a vital sign of progress. What the West experienced in the last 2 centuries, the Third World is following suit at a fast pace now. 2 centuries back, while the urbanites were only 1% of the world population, now they're almost half. The cities of the world have become overcrowded, causing a breakdown of civic amenities. British economist Thomas Malthus argued that the population growth would limit itself because of the limited food supplies. Even today, this view has many takers. But some others argue that it is distribution, not the numbers of people, that creates the problems. They believe unequal distribution causes inequalities in wealth, inappropriate use of technology, and ultimately, environmental degradation. In the dusty roads of Kolkata, 35,000 cycle rickshaws compete for space with trams and other automobiles. The city, with its shining metro, also houses nearly 80,000 rickshaw pullers, mainly from the villages of Bihar. They live in shabby townships and slums without basic amenities. Even today, villages of India are moving en masse to the cities, which are already bursting at their seams. Urbanization and throwaway culture are twin brothers. Cities of India, though small in number, produce more than half the country's garbage. When an average Kolkatan produces 0.5 kilograms of garbage a day, the national average is between 0.15 to 0.35 kilograms. Plastic seems to have come to stay in our lives. No aspect of human life is now plastic-free, but the problems it creates is also like the material, endless. The Taj Mahal, an epitome of love of an emperor, is getting blackened by polluting fumes. Atmospheric pollution levels are really sky high now. Clear sky and the perfumed air is now a tale told by an idiot. Greenhouse effect and ozone shield depletion of Antarctica are posing major threats to mankind. Gases like chlorofluorocarbons, methyl bromide, nitrous oxide are the main causes of ozone shield depletion. CFCs have now become an integral part of electronic industries. Fertilizers and rocket fuels release considerable amount of nitrous oxide, which in turn damage the ozone shield. The first form of life emerged in the water. Hence streams, rivers and seas were worshipped. Ancient civilizations came into existence on the river banks. Ganga, the holy river, India's soul, is the provider of ultimate salvation according to Hindu mythology. Now, 140 crore liters of drainage water and 20 crore litres of industrial effluents finds its way to the river every day. 500,000 dead bodies flow down it every year. The river is now a big sewage pipe. The river Yamuna provides drinking water to Delhiites, but the city doesn't spare her. She receives 190 crore litres of the city's wastewater every day. Sabarmati, which gave shape to Gandhiji's immortal thoughts, is too a polluted river today. As T.S. Eliot said in The Wasteland, here the river sweats oil and tar. The catchment areas of Indian rivers have lost their forest cover. They are mere canals during summer, and in the monsoons, flash floods are prevalent. The politics of water dates back to ancient civilizations. About 4,500 years back, in ancient Mesopotamia, along the Euphrates, the king Umar destroyed the banks of the irrigation canals, unleashing torrents of water on his downstream neighbors at Girsu. Even now, it is the crux of problems in West Asia. Jordan, Syria, and Lebanon fought a series of wars with their traditional enemy Israel in 1967. The bone of contention was the sharing of waters of the River Jordan. It was Jawaharlal Nehru, India's first Prime Minister, who called dams the modern-day temples of development. Unfortunately, today they have become the temples of doom. Narmada, the river of freedom, has almost lost its freedom. Thousands of tribals are facing displacement due to construction of a series of big dams in the river. They are to be the refugees of development. On August 6, 1945, a little boy killed thousands in Hiroshima. 2 days later, a few more thousands were killed in Nagasaki. This time, the killer was the Fat Man. Both the killers were the products of extensive research in the field of nuclear science. Atoms for Peace was a slogan coined by US President Eisenhower in 1953. It tried to paint nuclear energy as clean and cheap. Nuclear power plants were hailed as the ultimate answer to the energy crisis. All was fine till the disasters at the 3 Mile Island and Chernobyl. When reactor number 4 at Chernobyl power plant of Soviet Ukraine suffered a meltdown on 26 April 1986, it was a slight accident for the official Soviet media. By the time the slight accident had been officially confirmed, huge radioactive clouds had enveloped much of northern Europe and former USSR. Lisha was playing in the garden when the breakdown occurred. 8 years later, she succumbed to blood cancer. Officially, she's not a victim of the accident, but the whole world knows the truth. Vedic hymns solicit the gods to heal the man-made wounds of the earth. But today, even the gods will be helpless. Man has wounded the earth beyond healing. The bowels of the earth is damaged by indiscriminate mining. Wetlands were converted to foreign exchange earning aquaculture farms. Trawlers disturb and upturn the seabeds at their will. Oil slicks kills thousands of aquatic mammals and birds. Unrestrained felling and indiscriminate poaching are still on the rise. Man continues to heap contempt on earth. For the rural folk, energy means firewood. They don't take much from nature for fear of retributions. But slowly they are being marginalized in the name of development. What we need is a development paradigm which places people at its center. Consequent to the world wars, mankind made a concerted attempt to consolidate the peace movement. Environmental consciousness as a concept emerged within this context. This was to spawn a number of voluntary organizations whose main concern was to promote peace and preserve the environment. Green politics found its roots in the concept that we cannot command nature without obeying it. The emergence of German Greens and Greenpeace movement gave new thrust to the green politics. Stockholm, Montreal, Helsinki, Rio. Declarations and treaties are now abundant. But what we need is an effective implementation of them. Otherwise, man will perish in his own filth. As Chief Seattle wrote to the US President in the 19th century, "This we know, the earth does not belong to man. Man belongs to the earth. All things are connected like the blood that unites us all. Man does not weave the web of life, he is merely a strand in it. Whatever he does to the web, he does to himself."
What we do to our environment impacts not just on our lives or our times, but on future generations, indeed on posterity. And yet, the biggest players of our times do not want to sign the Kyoto Protocol.